Serena Williams' story and the controversy Saturday at the U.S. Open is still a point of discussion this morning and of controversy, and this time it's because of this. Now take a good close look at a cartoon that appears in an Australian newspaper, and this is what people are talking about and criticizing it for what many say, Michael Serapio, sexist, racist, just any way you cut it, offensive. Tell me more about this.
Well, you're right. And in fact, it's interesting because that final that you're referring to, Heather, was essentially slammed for showing sexism in professional sport, in tennis, as well as racism in a sport that is still predominantly white. But let's take a look at that cartoon one more time, because this, again, was published by an Australian newspaper. And while Mark Knight, who is the artist behind this cartoon, if we take a look at it right now, Mark Knight does not play tennis, nor was he at Flushing Meadows on Saturday, but he did insert himself into this debate by drawing what he did, using essentially racist tropes to depict Serena Williams, an image that does not look like the 23-time Grand Slam winner at all, but instead draws on racist cartoons of the Jim Crow era in the United States, when cartoonists used their art to demean and disempower black people. Now, the reaction has been swift, well beyond Australia's shores. Take a look at this tweet from British journalist Charles Thompson, and he says, in 100 years' time, the cartoon will be viewed no differently than images of Jim Crow or the newspaper cartoons drawn by Jack Johnson. Mark Knight has just drawn his way into the history books. Another tweet here from J.K. Rowling, who says, well done on reducing one of the greatest sportswomen alive to racist and sexist tropes and turning a second great sportswoman into a faceless prop. And that last reference, let's take a look at the split screen. Who she's referring to is Naomi Osaka, who won the final, who is of mixed race, Haitian and Japanese, but who Knight, who is the artist, drew as a nearly white woman with blonde hair, essentially reinforcing his depiction of Williams. But Knight is defending his work. Take a listen.
It was just about her poor behaviour on the date, nothing to do with race. And it's called punching down. You can't punch down these days, and what that means is you can't criticise minority groups for poor behaviour. You just can't go there. But I'm a cartoonist, and I comment on all topics because, you know, the Herald Sun's a broad church. We look at everything, and I can't say to myself, in all honesty, some areas are off limits to what you can say.
And the Herald Times is the newspaper in Melbourne which published the cartoon. Now, the National Association of Black Journalists in the United States, Heather, they have already denounced the cartoon, calling it, quote, repugnant on many levels.